A 70-year-old woman has just died inside the Shreveport, Louisiana hospital. She'd been here 4 days, battling COVID-19. Now nurses prepare her for the funeral home.
I don't think anybody ever told me I'd be taking bodies down to a loading dock.
We've seen a lot of death.
Doctors and nurses across the United States are struggling under the burden of a fourth wave of hospitalizations and deaths, driven by the Delta variant and the close to 40% of Americans who remain unvaccinated.
Most of the feeling is just anxiety, exhaustion, and just not knowing when this is going to end.
Like a couple of hours though before we can take her.
In the state of Mississippi, some 2,000 nurses have quit since the pandemic.
It's every day. I mean, just people can't take it. It's not because they don't want to do a good job. We've made it really hard for them with this influx to our healthcare system.
The doctors and nurses in this emergency room are trying to manage 3 times the amount of patients that they saw prior to this surge. That means people are receiving care in hallways and in waiting rooms anywhere they can be seen. The staff here calls this a constant marathon.
Disheartened and demoralized, many are resigning, retiring, or taking lower-paying jobs to distance themselves and the memories of fighting the virus.
I see these people over and over again when I try and sleep.
This Mississippi nurse has turned in her resignation.
To watch this person deteriorate and ultimately die alone in a hospital bed, to watch the culmination of someone's life, I can't take it anymore.
Staff shortages in Louisiana hospitals have required some doctors to double up as nurses' aides. Right now, the state has 6,000 vacant nursing job openings.
Yeah, there's no doubt that being overwhelmed over 17 straight months and not being able to spend time with your family, the only natural reaction for our teams is to struggle.
Many have begged in vain for more people to get vaccinated or blame themselves for not being convincing. Now some are just fed up and done, while still more, though exhausted and overwhelmed, press on. Heidi Zhou-Castro, Al Jazeera.
Let's bring in our White House correspondent, Kimberly Halkett, live in Washington. Kimberly, where do things stand right now in terms of numbers?
Yeah, numbers not looking good for the Biden administration that is still trying to turn the corner on this and thought that they had with respect to the infections in the United States. There are now 40 million confirmed cases in the United States since the start of the pandemic about 18 months ago, and of that, more than 650,000 people have died. Now, in terms of the vaccination numbers, more than half the population, roughly 53%, has been vaccinated, but that really only amounts to 176 million people. In other words, there are millions that are still not vaccinated in the United States, and that is what is causing a problem, because this is a pandemic of the unvaccinated now, according to Biden administration officials. So they're very concerned as the Delta variant continues to spread through the United States. What's happening is they're seeing the number of deaths rising as well, because back in June it was less than 300 a day. Now it's more than 1,900.
And so what's the Biden administration doing to address this, Kimberly?
Well, they'll be addressing it specifically. The president will on Thursday. He is going to be addressing the nation, announcing a six-pronged approach to dealing with this. It's apparently going to have a range of initiatives across the public as well as private sector. The concern is in all of this is that many of the vaccines that this administration has been pushing aren't that effective. For example, the Pfizer vaccine, the Moderna vaccine. And so we expect that there will be an announcement, too, about boosters and what that will look like, who needs to get it, and so on. But in all of this, there is another problem for the Biden administration. That is, there is waning confidence that this president has this under control. In fact, 2 different polls seem to suggest that Americans have lost faith in the president's ability to handle this pandemic. His approval rating on that is down 10 points. And also, we should point out that when it comes to them feeling he has a strong message on this, that 42% of Americans believe he lacks clarity. So he's going to need that clarity come Thursday to really get that confidence back and have Americans feel that this is really turning around the way he promised many months ago.
Kimberly, thank you very much. Kimberly Halkett, live for us there in Washington.